Hi, everybody. So, since we're talking about recycling, I had this idea that I remembered about this really great book that talks about recycling, but I didn't have it at my house. But good news is I found it on my computer. So, I'm going to read it to you. So, I'll have to pause between pages because they zoom through the book kind of fast. So, let me get it ready. All right. So, this book is called Where Does the Garbage Go? Where does the garbage go? So, this is like introduction. What are we doing to help the environment? Is their board. And then people over here in the class, it says, the person all the way in the back with the red pants, garbage comes from leftovers. Wait a second, that sounds like compost. Garbage comes from my baby brother? Really? Cool. Oh, diapers. Got it. Next person, still thinking about it. The person in front. Do we have to study this before lunch? I guess they're not ready. Next page. In school, we're learning about garbage. Last week, our teacher told us about the way things used to be and what we can do to create less garbage and help our environment. The board says garbage. Where does it come from? Where does it go? She said there was a time when people who wanted to get rid of something just threw it into the garbage can. They threw away old orange peels, eggshells, and the food they didn't even eat. They also threw away things like empty bottles and cans, cardboard boxes, and newspapers. Oh boy. And that dog says, I would have eaten that. Probably talking about the food. If kept separate, a lot of food that is thrown away could be turned into compost, which is helpful for growing plants. Old bottles and newspaper could be recycled and made into new materials. But when all these things are mixed together, it all becomes garbage. Hmm. So they're not, right now in this picture, they're not sorting any of the trash. They're just putting everything that they're done with into one garbage can. Yikes. Once a week, the garbage was collected in trucks and taken out to the dump. Remember, this is the teacher in the classroom in the book. She's talking about how getting trash from houses used to be, not the way that it is right now. So we're going to go into it through the book. Whenever I read this page, I always forget. So in the dump, there were piles of garbage everywhere and all kinds of trash. Old tires, broken bottles, tin cans, old newspapers and broken chairs and sofas. Oh, and in the summer, guess what? The food that was thrown out rotted. Oh gosh, and it made a terrible stink. Rats came to eat it. Oof, millions of flies buzzed around. Ay, ay, ay. The dump was a great big mess. So they just collected all the garbage from the houses and just put all of it together. Oh, at one time, New York City used the ocean for its dump. It loaded its waste onto flat boats called barges. Tugboats pulled the barges out to sea, and the waste was dumped overboard. Most of the trash sank, but some of it floated. Now, that is one of the worst things you can do with trash, I think. But the good thing about mistakes is that it helps you learn about what you can do better. So now we don't do that with garbage anymore because we learned it was not good for the environment or for the world or for those poor fish down there. Hmm. Oh, or for us. Often the trash, it floated right back to the beaches where people were swimming. Ugh, yuck. New York City doesn't throw its waste in the ocean anymore. It has a special kind of dump called a landfill. Other cities have landfills too. Our town has one, and our class went out and looked at it. A landfill is a busy place. And now the little speech bubbles. The young person on the left says, not a great place for a picnic. Yeah, probably not. And then the other person says, phew, it smells. Well, of course it smells. That's not bad, right? top of the page. Trucks bring loads of waste from the city and dump it in big piles. Bulldozers with scrapers spread out the waste, and compactors with spikes on their wheels move back and forth over it. The waste is all mashed and piled. After that, trucks bring loads of soil. The bulldozers and compactors spread the soil over the waste. The soil covers up everything. It keeps out the rats and the flies. Then the landfill's ready for more waste. Then comes more soil to cover it up. Then more waste and more soil. Layer after layer. A landfill keeps piling up. It gets to be a little mountain. So does that make sense? They're saying the soil, let's see. Right, so they were putting the trash in and then they're putting soil on top of it. That also helps because if you're putting some things to throw away in the ground that cannot be recycled anymore, if they start to smell, then other animals are going to come be attracted to that and start coming around in there. So by packing it with soil, it takes away the smell and also makes the ground strong enough for when they can build on top of that ground another time after it's all done. So here's a picture of the landfill. Layer by layer. So you see down there how there's garbage that they put into the ground, right? And they've separated it with the soil as it's going up higher and higher. It's not the best idea, right? But there's some things that we make in the world that you have to throw it away sometimes, and it's not the best way to have it. I know that a lot of companies and a lot of people and people that make things that we buy are thinking about how to create everything to be more recyclable or compostable so we don't have as much trash. But another thing that they don't tell you in this book is that there's a special kind of wrap that they put on the bottom of the landfill and I think on the top that makes it so the trash does not go into the regular ground also. So it kind of stays like a package. Because after a while, the earth can bring it back to just being dirt. But that takes many, 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 many years. Okay, here we go. When the last layer of soil is spread on top of a landfill, grass and trees are planted on it. The landfill becomes a park or a playground. Then the city has to find a new place to dispose of its garbage. Garbage never stops piling up. So yeah, sometimes when landfills are done, they might build something on top of that land like a park or something else. I'm not really sure, but parks are the ones that I usually hear about. And then here's another chart. What is in our landfills? So this is talking about some of the things that have been put into the ground for landfills. The green one over there says rubber, leather, and fabric, so like tires from cars. Then over here, if you look, it looks like the milk cartons, it says plastic, and then underneath that's paper. The orange one just says other, like mixed things that they didn't count. Red is glass, yellow is metal, and the blue with, well, it says food and yard waste. So let's see. Aha, here's my favorite part of the book. So here we're going to start talking about the different ways that we can recycle stuff. And this is like what the video showed you also, the different areas in a recycling plant. So this is talking about some of that first. Some cities try to get rid of their waste by burning it. Yikes. They build big furnaces called incinerators and burn garbage and trash into them. The heat is used to warm stores and offices. It is also used to make electricity. So this is something I just learned about today. I watched some videos and I read some things from different places that collect garbage, and they were teaching me that when they have these big furnaces, so it's like you have an oven in your house, right? A furnace is like an oven, but it's not for making food. It gets much hotter than an oven, and it's much bigger, and it's for taking care of big jobs like this. So when you have an incinerator burning up this garbage, it makes this smoke, and it makes the room really, really hot. And they have found a way, they're saying, because it gets so hot in here, we can hold on to that hot and bring it somewhere else. So they have made special ways that when the furnace gets hot from burning the trash, all of that heat, they can take it and use that energy to other things. So the energy does not go to waste. Isn't that such a great idea? They're recycling pretty much. It's kind of amazing. So right here it says how an incinerator works. How does an incinerator work? This is interesting. So trucks bring the garbage, right? They arrive, and then under that it says garbage is fed into the furnace. It's going down that conveyor belt. And then the pink part says furnace burns garbage in about 30 minutes. That's not a long time. Wow. That's like a little longer than snack time. Next page. When incinerators burn our trash, they don't really get rid of everything. There is leftover ash that still has to go to a landfill. Sometimes this ash is toxic or harmful. Toxic means like not safe. And sometimes the smoke from the incinerator pollutes the air with harmful gases. Oof. This book I think might be a little older because I know a lot of recycling plants, when they burn the trash, if they do, I don't think all of them do, but for the ones that do, they have made it so the smoke doesn't even come outside, that they can hold on to that smoke and use it for something else, so then it never makes the air dirty. Isn't that cool? We're thinking of everything here. So let's see. Gases from the burning garbage must be carefully cleaned and filtered. Good. And then clean gases are released. I guess that's what they're doing. I should have read that before I said it. So it looks like they're trying to clean it before. Very important. Today, cities are having a hard time finding places for new landfills. It's true. Waste keeps piling up. People keep throwing things away. They throw away too many things. Some of the things they throw away could be used over again. Aha! All of you know this stuff, right? You see what's in their hands? Looks like they're learning just what we were talking about. Oh, the cat says, "That's a lot, meow." Okay, one way cities make less garbage is by recycling. Recycling means making trash into something new instead of throwing it away. Now I'm reading that yellow part on the side. Almost half of the trash we throw away could be recycled. Almost half? Mamma mia, look at that. So it says, look for this symbol, those green arrows. Look for this symbol on glass, paper, metal, and plastic containers that can be recycled. So that's a lot of the time the way that you can tell if something is recyclable, is that they have that recycling symbol on them. If you look, ooh, that's a good thing. Next time that you're wondering if you can recycle something, take a look. Usually it's on the bottom. Depends on the container, but you'll find something. Next page. My family tries to recycle as much as it can. We turn old fruits, vegetables, grass clippings into compost for our yards. We keep garbage like glass bottles, aluminum cans, newspapers, and foil separate from the food waste, because they're not the same, right? When we put the cans and bottles at the curb, we pile old newspapers beside them. We flatten our garbage and pile them next to the newspapers to be picked up for recycling each week. That's good. And also, everybody, I want you to know, I think I've mentioned to you before, but the rules for recycling in every city, because we live in the United States, right? And New York is just one of the cities in all of the United States. There's so many. But all the rules for every state are usually different. So maybe for the place that this person lives in the story, that's what they have to do with theirs. Because I know when we take out our trash, if you live in an apartment, sometimes we have a special place that we put it, and then people that are in charge of the building bring it out for the garbage people to collect. It's always a little bit different for people. Next page. When the garbage truck comes, it picks up only the garbage and takes it to the landfill. Other trucks come for the bottles and cans and newspapers. Those things don't go to the landfill anymore. Our city sells them to factories and mills for recycling. So that's something that we haven't really gone over also. So when all of the people that are, so the garbage, there's people that just collect the garbage for the landfills, right? There's people that come that are just for recycling, like metal and plastics. And there's also other days that people just come for paper, right? And when those get collected, because those are the recyclable materials, when those get collected, they are like in the factory video that you saw for the garbage plant. They get it all ready. They put it in those bales, right? You saw how they squished all those cans together. Then it was like a big bar. They're called bales. And when they have all of those, that's like material ready to be remade into something, right? If you have all those metal cans, maybe it's going to be remade into something like more aluminum cans, or maybe furniture of some sort, or playground equipment. But the places that take the garbage and put them into those little bales, they do not make it, right? They say, all right, what companies are you? Do you want to buy this? You can have this. You have to give us some money, but we're going to give you all of these materials that are ready to be remade. Does that make sense? So I actually didn't know that myself. I just learned that recently too. So they take care of that. Next page. Oh, this is interesting. Paper mills chop up old newspapers and turn them into new paper. This is cool. So I'm going to start at the newspapers, okay? It says paper is shredded into pulp. Pulp, in this way that they're talking about it, is like really small pieces, and usually pulp is in liquid. So it looks like they're shredding it up into tiny pieces and putting it into water. So paper is shredded into pulp, and then it goes into that red funnel, goes down. Pulp is washed and bleached. So that means it's mixed with water, and bleached means that bleach is a chemical that cleans, and in this case, it takes away the color. So it cleans the paper and then turns it white again. If it would, because paper can be all these different colors, so it makes it new again. And then we're going to the yellow container. It's in there, into that tube, down the tube, into the green. Now from the green, this is different, right? It says water is drained from the pulp. So if like this is the mushed paper, that means like there's water, it's goopy, there's paper bits in there and everything. The water is taking out, so then it's getting a little bit stronger, like dry paper, and then that's coming out of the pulp from the green spot you see, and then it's being rolled into paper. So it's dried out. So then on the bottom it says paper is dried and rolled. So they're drying it out from that pulp because it's new again and making it into paper that's ready to use. Oh, I love that. I know how to make paper too at home. Maybe we can talk about that. Aluminum factories take aluminum cans and foil and melt them to make new cans for rolls of foil. So that's taking the can from the top, in there, it's chopped up, and then it goes on that little belt. It's called a conveyor belt that moves things around like that. Goes into that red thing, and then it says, let's see, decontainer takes off paint from metal scraps with hot air. Cool. So then after it makes them cleaner like that, they go back on the belt, down, down, down. Then on the bottom, scraps are melted in another furnace. Oh, do you see that? After it goes into that furnace, it looks, melted down there. Melted aluminum is poured into molds. So a mold is, if you don't know, is the outside shape of something. Like, this is funny. I just happened to be sitting here next to one of my desks. I made a mold of one of my hand out of paper a long time ago, and I think it's so cool I kept it. Let me show you. So this is a mold. Do you see? This is my hand, but it's made out of old. Oh, this is perfect. I reused old pieces of paper to make a mold of my hand a very, very long time ago. So if pretend this was not paper and it was something strong that could be really hot. If we took this metal, this aluminum, and went like this, it would go all the way down into every part. And then when it dried, guess what? Of course, you could take off the mold, and then you'd have like this another hand, but it would be made out of metal. because that's the material you use, right? Okay, thanks so much for helping me. Next page. We're reading. All right. Glass bottles are ground up and melted to make new glass bottles and jars. So I'm going to go a little bit quicker. I know I've been reading this for a while. So the same sort of process. The glass is crushed, goes down into that furnace, and then goes down. And then there it says gobs of molten glass are poured into molds. So just like you saw with the metal that was melted in red, that's molten is when a material is so hot that it's melted down and made liquid like that. So then once it's hot enough, it melts down back into a mold to make into another glass right away. That's such a great thing. I love it when they do that. So then the blow-in air cools the glass. So yeah, the air comes down to make the glass not be so hot anymore, so then it's ready to stay in that shape. And then they're ready. That sounds like it's not such a long process. Even plastic can be recycled. Plastic factories chop it up and turn it into things like flower pots and park benches. I just love that. I want to see if I can find a list also of things that recycled materials have been made into, because this is talking about how the plastic can be chopped up and be made into flower pots and park benches. I know that one of you responded to one of our recycling assignments that I've made and said that your rain jacket was made out of recycled plastic like this, right? Thought that was so cool. So it can be made into clothes too. What are we doing to help the environment? So now this is all the things that they started to add. We're separating the yellow. We're separating the trash and recycling, the blue says. We put our food scraps in the compost heap. The green says, I made a toy for my dog out of old snacks, out of old socks. The red shirt says, my family gives all our clothes to the thrift store. Oh, and one of you said that you do that too. It's a great thing to reuse your clothes. The other dark blue one says, I carry a lunchbox instead of a bag I'd throw away. The white piece of paper, my mom started a recycling program for people at work. Let's start one here. That's a good one. I love that. And the last one is brown. It says, we carry reusable bags to the store so we don't need to take the plastic ones we'd throw away anyway. I love that one. That's good. Our teacher says recycling is a good start, but we must do more. We must stop making so much waste. We must stop throwing so many things away. We need to find ways to use things over and over again. It's true. We have too many landfills, so we have to be starting to think more about how we can reuse our materials, recycle much more, and not buy, by reducing, by not buying as much that we don't need. That's what we have done at home. We used to bring our groceries home in paper and plastic bags. When we emptied the bags, we threw them away in the garbage can. When we did that, we were just making more waste to pile up in a landfill. We have stopped doing that. Now we use reusable bags. They hang on our kitchen doorknob. When we go to the supermarket, we take our reusable bags and put our groceries in them. And then the cashier, do you see she's pointing to them and it says, need a bag, kids? And let's see what they say. No thanks. We have our own. Nice job! All right, next page. Our reusable bags are strong and hold a lot of groceries. We use them over and over again. And remember the bags that I told you I have? I've had some of them for like over 10 years. Can you believe that? That's older than you. Hey, everybody. That's the end of the book. That was a long book, right? But such important stuff. I'm really, really happy if you're able to watch that whole thing with me. That was a lot of fun. I was really excited to share that book because I think it's really important what we're doing together. And I'm so privileged that I get to be a part of teaching you all about recycling. So I'm so proud of all of you for the things that you've been sharing with me. And I'm so excited to see what we do together next. Okay? All right, everybody. Have a nice afternoon.